Story 1. My wife just gave birth, and I'm obviously not the father. Me, 26 male, and my wife, 27 female, recently had a baby. We have been trying for years to get pregnant, so when my wife suddenly got pregnant, it was a huge shock to us both. For privacy reasons, we'll call her Anne. Anne and I met in college through a mutual friend. We hit it off instantly and got married 2 years later. She is the light of my life. She's beautiful, kind, and funny. When Anne got pregnant last July, I was ecstatic, although my wife wasn't as happy as I expected her to be. She was overall really depressed during her pregnancy and didn't talk to me much. I thought it was just mood swings or something. But boy, was I wrong. Then a few days ago, she gave birth. For context, Anne and I are both very Asian. I immigrated to the U.S. with my family from Korea when I was little. Anne's family is third-gen Chinese. I held her hand throughout the whole procedure. As soon as I saw the baby's skin, I knew something was off. I'm really pale, and my wife is just slightly tan. The baby looked very obviously African American. The nurses brought the baby out of the room, and Anne started crying. She hasn't spoken to me since, but I've been trying to bond with our child, even if he isn't biologically male. I really love my wife, but it's obvious that an affair has been going on. I'm not sure what to do anymore. I mean, you were expecting something to change because you're bringing a life into this world, but it's going to change in a way you didn't think of. I mean, I don't know where it's going to go from here. I mean, you seem to be doing the right thing and trying to bond with this child and, being a loving father, even though he isn't yours. It's going to depend on what she wants. And probably, I don't know. I really don't know. I hope there is some sort of an ending where you come out of it, stable in some way or another. I am sorry for what you're going to have to go through. Story 2. My date got me a gift, so I got him fired from his job. Hi, I'm a 22-year-old female to male who, at the time of this story, was just out of a relationship. I started seeing this guy, 24 male, who we will call Frank for the story. We went to a bar and we clicked very well. He would then hang out at my place almost 3 times a week, where things were amazing. About a month into our friendship/relationship, we were thinking about getting serious. Frank constantly love-bombed me, messaged me every day about how much he loved me, and etc. He even came over one day with a gift for me that was in a unique design glittery gift bag that had crystals, a hoodie, little necklaces, charms, and baked goods from a store in the mall. We officially started dating, and it was great. For a week. Frank sent me a long text message saying, "Oh, I love you so much," and how he would love me forever. Going to bed, I thought nothing of it. Just happy someone loved me and expressed it. The next morning, I woke up to another paragraph text, thinking it was another love message. I was wrong. He started off the text with, "I don't love you," and wrote about how he was sleeping with his ex and me at the same time, and that he didn't love her and lied about loving me. I was devastated. Normally, I wouldn't have cared that much, but after being love-bombed for a month by Frank, it stung. Immediately after reading this text, I got suspicious. Some backstory. For the duration of talking to him, he talked horrible about his ex, whom Frank still lived with, saying that she was abusive, trashy, etc. So hearing him say he was sleeping with her stung a lot, but also set off some red flags. I went to work that day upset, but I was getting over it quickly. Until Frank's ex messaged me on Instagram, whom we will call Stacy. Stacy told me how he was love-bombing her and begged for her back, and that she wanted to make sure me and him weren't a thing. Out of respect, I told Stacy what he had said to me, considering she was brought up in the text anyways, and I sent her screenshots of every single time he trash-talked her. And I'm talking at least 50 screenshots of paragraphs of him trash-talking her. He was trying to get sympathy from me for him to come over and stay the night. Stacy apologized for his actions and decided not to date him. Eventually, me and her grew to become good friends, and I realized Frank had lied about everything. Stacy was the sweetest, most timid person I've ever met. Now remember the gift he had given me? I ended up rearranging my room and finding the bag with everything Frank gave me. Looking at the items, something seemed off, so I texted Stacy. I asked her if she happened to be missing anything. Any crystals or hoodies. She had a hippie aesthetic, so her owning crystals was a given. Stacy texted me back that she was in fact missing 3 crystals, and she described the ones that Frank had gifted me exactly. The hoodie? Also hers. The charms? Hers. The only thing he didn't steal from her to give me were the baked goods. From his job. Stacy and Frank both worked at the mall in our city. I decided to stop by and return everything he had stolen and given to me. He was off that day, but I was told when she got home and he saw the gaudy bag he put everything in, he knew we met up and knew what he did. He apparently started crying and begging for her to forgive him on his knees, which I found hilarious. Fast forward a week later, Stacy tells me how he went back to doing the same thing with other girls. Apparently he had done this 5 other times to different girls, getting into full committed relationships and cheating. Angry, I remember something Frank had told me about how he would steal baked goods to bring home, and that if his boss found out, he'd be ticked. So I naturally called the store he worked at, told him everything he was doing at work, along with his cheating and two-timing, and all other secrets he told me about what he did at work that could get him fired. Since then, I never see him at the bakery, and when I ask about him, they pretend he never existed. Even my new best friend Stacy said he moved out since he couldn't afford rent. So where he is now is a mystery. It's a game. It's a game to this person, just seeing who he can hook up with and hook. Just playing with people. It's awful. And unfortunately, I don't think he's reformed. I think he's just moving on to other girls that don't know about his shtick yet. I mean, this is just as bad as that episode of, It's Always Sunny in California. This is not Sunny in California. You know the show I'm talking about. It's Always Sunny in California. The dentist system. I mean, this is on par with that kind of diabolical actions. Story 3. So you're claiming I defrauded the company by booking an extra 3 minutes? No problem. I worked for a water company for 25 years and was one of their most productive repair crews. That is, until the new manager, let's call him Mr. Numbnuts, started. We had a monthly rota where you were on call for 1 week in 4 for emergency repairs out of hours. On the day in question, I started work at 7:30 a.m. on a Friday and finished work at 3:15 a.m. Saturday morning. So a pretty long shift. I get to work Tuesday morning and get called into the office by Mr. Numbnuts and informed that according to my vehicle tracker, I'd left the yard at 3:12 a.m. and not 3:15 a.m., which is an attempt to defraud the company. As you can imagine, I was absolutely fuming at this level of hogwash. I told him that at the time I was covered in mud and sweat and just wanted to get home after completing a monster shift for the company, and he was genuinely making a smeg storm over 3 minutes. He said he was making me aware that I could be fired for it. Cue malicious compliance. I said that if we're going to be this petty, You can take me off the emergency contact list for extra coverage, and I won't be starting 20 minutes early each day either. I'll now be clocking in at exactly 7:30 a.m., and I shall be heading out at exactly 5:30 p.m. No deviation whatsoever, and you can explain to your bosses why productivity is down and you're still struggling to get coverage for emergencies. We'll then see how important your 3 minutes are when they're costing the company money. Little did I realize at the time, but the guy's job was bonus related and linked to our productivity, which tanked after that because all the other gangs followed my lead, except the brown-nosed gangs, obviously. 3 weeks go by with an absolute smeg show in customer service complaints about their work not being carried out in a timely manner. My productivity dropped from 7 jobs per day down to 4. And Mr. Numbnuts gets called in by his bosses to try and explain what the hell is going on. He tried to spin some hogwash story that I turned all the guys against him for no reason, and that this was the result. Little did he know that I'd actually trained his boss when he first started with the company 15 years before and wanted to come out and find out what we do and experience how hard the job is. He surprised me by working a full month on the repair crews before going back to the office. Anyhow, the boss calls me in to find out what's really going on. So I explained how he'd used the tracker to monitor what time I'd left the yard and that I'd guesstimated my finish time and overestimated by 3 minutes because I was absolutely knackered after working a shift from hell on call. Conclusion? The manager was let go for misuse of the tracking system, and it's only supposed to be used for emergencies and not monitoring, and we had our on-call system reviewed to cut the hours we were having to work. Amazing. I mean, I don't know what time frame this was in or whether he could have had this conversation recorded for this, but it's great that he had a boss that was actually interested in how his people worked and actually put in hours to experience what they experience. I don't think I've heard that in possibly any of the stories I've been reading on this channel so far. That is just amazing. And that he trained him. So he had someone on his side. So definitely at work. Know what you're allowed to do. Know your worth and keep track of everything.
Please like and subscribe if you made it this far. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the video and have a wonderful day.
Story 4. My wife passed away. The best Christmas present I could have gotten. Ooh, that's a dark title. At the beginning of 2022, I caught my wife having an affair with one of her exes. Our marriage wasn't perfect. I was not the perfect husband, I will admit. But I did my best. I put effort into the entire 5 years we were together. I put my all into the relationship. Her, I couldn't say the same. I was forced to confront the reality of who she truly was shortly after I caught her. She illegally evicted me from our shared home, lied to the police to try and get me arrested, tried to get me fired from my job, and tried to turn all of my friends against me. Some of those succeeded, while others did not. She has made my life a living hell since the day I asked her for the divorce, and has planted her heels into the ground over our separation to try and drain all my finances and emotional strength from me. The only upside is we had no kids for her to use as weapons. But I soon found out that her policy of strict birth control with me did not extend to her suitor, as he got her pregnant 5 months ago. I thought maybe this would help speed along the divorce, but it only rallied her in her efforts to destroy me. On Christmas Eve, my wife and her suitor went to a party where both of them got drunk. I find this fact terrible, as all her friends knew she was pregnant as well. Her suitor drove them home. a mistake that would cost them both their lives. In the state I live in, our divorce is now considered to never have even started. I will be able to claim her life insurance policy for myself and move back into my home. Her parents called me up distraught yesterday, acting as if the last year had never happened, and offered their full support to my funeral preparations for her. My confusion here was beyond belief, but the apple doesn't fall far from the tree when it comes to my wife. I told them if they wanted a funeral, it was coming out of their pockets. I will pay for her to be cremated and deliver her ashes to them in the cheapest urn offered if they desire. They called me horrible and tried to guilt me about her life insurance, but after only 4 minutes on the phone with them, I hung up and blocked every one of her family's numbers. I'm going to be taking a few extra days off of work to move back into my house over the next week. I've already made arrangements to have her stuff hauled off, so my home will be an empty canvas to start my life anew. I don't know if there is a deity, or if this was just karma, but I truly believe now that I come out on the other side of the storm. Wow. There can be arguments about problems with the law in regard to relationships and marriages and divorces. There are plenty of channels that have those opinions about this stuff. It is very distressing to see that it takes this type of drastic situation for something to be resolved, and that someone can just be so vindictive about this. I really hope everything on his side is in order. I don't think he's heard the last from this family. Pretty sure they're going to try and bring up a lawsuit or something. I don't think he's heard the end of it. What place do you think this is where this law applies? I'm kind of curious. I don't know where in the country it is where these kind of laws apply. Story 5. I made my dad choose between me and his new family. My father, 52, and I, 25 female, along with my 3-year-old Cocker Spaniel Moxie, live in my mom's ancestral house that I inherited along with other assets when she passed away when I was 16 due to cancer. My father got married to his high school sweetheart a few months ago while he was on a trip with his friends. Apparently, they've been in contact for almost 2 years now. I was shocked, but it's his life, and if he's happy, then I'm okay with it. They moved in a week after the small wedding that I wasn't even invited to, since I had no idea that they were even dating, or that he was dating. She, my dad's wife, that we'll call Steph, 51, came with baggage. I mean twin stepsisters, 20 female, Lizzie and Lexi, fake names, and their 2 chihuahuas, Gucci and Hermé. They go to the state college nearby and thought that it would save them money if they live here instead of paying rent. My dad asked if it was okay, and he also stated that the house is big enough for us, 7 bedrooms, 8.5 baths, a basement, and a huge yard with a pool. To make my dad happy, I said yes. Big mistake. First issue was the argument of me moving to a smaller room, since my room has the second biggest closet out of all the rooms in the house. She needed it to store all her luxury bags and clothes, etc. I said no. I told her it's been my room since I can remember, and she's not making me move when it's my house. My dad compromised with her that he'll give his side of the closet to her, while his things are in the other room. Second issue. The twins have this habit of barging into people's rooms without knocking, and that includes my office, currently working from home due to COVID. Lexi walked in one time wearing a bikini, looking for something, while I was in the middle of a business meeting. She literally walked behind me where everyone could see her. I was ticked off and embarrassed. Third, their dogs are not potty trained and would leave poops and pee around the house, and the twins wouldn't even clean up after them. They're also very aggressive towards Moxie. I found Moxie one time with a scratch on her left eye, where the other dogs would usually nip at when they get the chance. Fourth, all of the family photos in the house were removed and put in the attic without my approval. That includes my grandparents, my great-grandparents, my mother's family photo, my baby pictures, etc. I took my time to put them all back to where they belonged. This happened a few times. 2 days ago, Steph did it again, but this time she replaced them with her pictures, the twins and her family, etc. Steph and I had a heated argument about it. I told her that she can't do anything regarding the decorations, etc. in my house without my approval, and that her daughters should also learn how to knock on doors and have their dogs potty trained. She said that they can do whatever they want in her house, that she will be making up house rules that we will all follow, since she thinks I'm such a wild animal doing whatever I want, and that I was not raised properly due to having a bad, useless mother. I was livid. That's an understatement. I told her that she can pack her things along with her twins because I am kicking her out. She said that I have no right to kick them out of her house. I told her, and I quote, "Lady, you are living under my roof. This is my house. I inherited it from my mother, and right now you, your twins, and your dogs are trespassing. Get out before I call the cops." My dad got home early that day after Steph told him what happened. I told him my side of the story. He said that they're still getting used to the house, and the move here was difficult for them. I told him about all the issues surrounding them. But he kept insisting that it's going to get better and that to just give them some time. I told him that I've put up with all their smeg and I've had enough. Enough is enough. He was defending them more, taking their side. So I told him that he can either move out with them or stay, and that he has until the end of the week. Did I do the right thing here, making my dad choose between me and his new family? I literally gave them a chance, and I've put up with so much of their smeg for the past few months. What she said about my mother was the breaking point. There's no way that she will disrespect her in the house where I grew up in. Where do you even think you'd be the a-hole? She is trying to go full-on Disney stepmother. I feel like I've read this story before, and I think I said that before. But not the a-hole. This is your house, and the longer she stays there, the longer she can dig her heels in and possibly legally be allowed to stay there, depending on where you are in the country or whatever country you're in. So yeah, great just to nip it in the bud right now. She is delusional. Does she not believe her when this person says, "This is my house"? She probably thinks this is the house of the person she married, the father. No, it's not. She probably just can't believe that this person had ownership. And definitely hold on to that. An 8-bedroom house? Inherited? Ooh, hold on to that. That's probably worth more than gold in this economy.
Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.